Good Tuesday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center taking a look at that current radar where we're not really seeing anything right now. That's great news. And then as we look at those current temperatures, you do see some variability, but that's just mainly because of the observation times here, really, when we're getting some different things that come on in as we're looking at the temperatures are going down some out there. I know where I'm at toward east to start the current reading is 68 degrees, but this morning where I'm at, a rural area, really just getting cool out there, 49 degrees. And when you compare the temperature east of Stark to Chicago, they got down to 70 there as we're looking toward the Midway Airport area. So that's just kind of telling the story. We were 21 degrees cooler where I'm at this morning in parts of Chicago. So that kind of tells the weather story. Some interesting cooler coming in and nicer conditions. But we also do have some coastal concerns here as we look ahead because we're actually seeing a system evolve here as we look further on off toward the east. I'll kind of turn some things on for you guys here real quick to kind of give you guys an idea. I know you're seeing some of the action here as we look further on off, and then I put on our ISO bars here and our wind arrows, our wind directs, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about out here. And there is a small chance something might try to develop tropically here or subtropically, but right now we're not too concerned about that. But a higher current risk and some breezier conditions here, the storyline, some higher surf. Kind of get the idea here, and maybe some increased rain chances, especially as we look toward Friday. But overall, it's not looking like it's going to be too impactful an event right now. Of course, keep an eye on things, but right now our local is blue, back to that normal look at things right now. So that's the good news. I know on Friday we were tracking that severe weather. We were on for hours here. Ended up having some wind damage reports toward Union County, for instance. Also looking out, we did have a couple confirmed tornadoes, EF zeros toward Wakulla County, and also toward Perry. There was an EF zero in the downtown area there of Perry and Taylor counties. So that kind of tells the story, but luckily those were on the lower end of the wind damage potential, but nonetheless, pretty busy period here. As we were looking back again right now, we deserve this calmer weather here that we're seeing as we get toward the land areas. Again, toward the coast, you do have some coastal concerns, though, and we got to watch out for that with current dangers. So I don't want the nice skies to kind of deceive you out there as we're looking at some different things. I know, let's go ahead right now, pop on up. Look at some of these Florida 511 cameras right now. Let's start off in Tallahassee. I know classes there getting back underway in the summer session now. As we look out there, you see things pretty quiet, though not too many students on campus, I wouldn't think, here as we're getting toward this part of the year. But there are some as we get out there. And speaking of activities on campus, I know I have my FSU tie on. FSU taking on JU, and FSU winning game 1 there in baseball this afternoon at Dick Howser Stadium. And then in game 2, they're also winning the 7-inning type of game. That's the last check, of course. So we'll kind of see how things go. But a couple games there in college baseball for the Seminoles against the Dolphins there today. We'll kind of continue to keep an eye on everything there as we look. I know next Tuesday it's going to be Florida State there. That game that was delayed, pushed back by the rain in March. Will be played there next Tuesday, as long as the weather's good. It's looking pretty good right now, but we always have to keep an eye on things. In the summertime, it is going to be warm out there, but that's going to be played down there toward Gainesville. But we'll see that shot toward Gainesville in a minute. But first off, let's go toward Lake City and the Swanee River Valley. Things look pretty quiet out there. You see the sky there. You see the sky looking pretty good. And then as we get toward Gainesville area now, take it I-75 at State Road 222, looking like a mile marker 390, if I'm reading that correctly there. On the monitors, I know it's actually a little further away. I look here at things, but you kind of get the idea. Looking at some things toward Alachua County right now, and then as we get away from that shot, we'll take you now toward Jacksonville on 95 at Hendricks Avenue. Giving you the shot there, looking kind of higher up and toward that perspective. So again, the weather's not a big factor here. The coastal areas, we're watching some things, but not terribly concerned here about tropical development at this point. Still keep an eye on things, though. It's not something we're able to rule out here at this date either. So we are watching some storylines out toward Texas and toward Wisconsin. There is a tornado watch up toward Wisconsin. I'll go ahead and zoom up there first. You can kind of see we don't actually have any active warnings. So we do have some stuff we're keeping our eyes on now. A little bit of this north of Green Bay. So that's something that they're watching up there, the local affiliates for sure. Haven't had too many severe weather warnings as we're looking in terms of that tornadic potential overall today in the country. As we look toward thunderstorm warnings, though, that is a different story. As we get east Amarillo, I know they've had quite a bit of nasty acts and move through there. You see some hail and wind reports there in that vicinity. We have quite a few thunderstorm warnings here in play as we get towards the east of Amarillo. You see a thunderstorm watch in pink. You see warning here east of Odessa. Some more as we just get over to Mexico border there. You do see thunderstorm warnings. So some nasty weather in that regard. We haven't seen too much rotational potential take hold. There's another threat tomorrow as we look ahead in the timeline toward areas as we get closer up, maybe toward Iowa, that general vicinity. But then as we get toward Thursday, the threat is a little bit bigger here as we look ahead toward the timeline. And speaking of looking ahead in the timeline, I know tomorrow we'll be on all the platforms about 7:30. Our second annual Hurricane Special on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll be going over everything with that hurricane season, getting you prepared here. Maybe giving you an update on anything that's off the coast that's kind of interesting to look at as well. Hopefully, again, there's not too much, but it's to prepare you for the season at large, not the system coming up. That's what the Hurricane Special will be here tomorrow at about 7:30, so make sure you tune in. But as we get toward the graphics here, next 7 days in terms of rainfall, you don't see too much toward the Florida Peninsula, but as we get off toward the coast here, that's a different story. Look at all this moisture here as we look at this Weather Prediction Center forecast. You do see all this activity here off the coast, and you can go to cloudweather.com/radar for an interactive look at things when we're not on the air. You do see a little bit of rain toward parts of southern Louisiana there, trying to get up into parts of Mississippi, even toward the Oklamas to some extent there as well. As we kind of look at things in North Carolina, some precipitation there too. But as we look at the hurricane names, again, that reminder, that second annual Hurricane Special tomorrow at 7:30. Alex would be that first name here as we're looking at some things in the hurricane season. So that's what we're going to be kind of looking ahead toward. You kind of see the names. I know Bonnie is a familiar one. That was a storm that was around when we had, that name was, I should say, when we had Charlie there in '04. So if you do the math, every 6 years the name's reused unless they're retired. Of course, Charlie was retired. Colin there on the board at this point. But the 10, 16, and then 22 here. And we have Colin, of course, that impacted us here 6 years ago locally here. So that's a weak version there of things in the tropics. So some of these names you'll see, you'll remember, of course, are mean. That was a big story toward Tallahassee, but it wasn't a big enough story overall to get its name retired there in that season. Of course, Matthew was a name in here, but that ended up getting retired, obviously, because of the big impacts that storm had. So there's some of the different names here as they break them down. But toward Thursday, I kind of hinted at it a moment ago, there is an enhanced risk of severe weather as we get toward Omaha, toward areas there around Sioux Falls and South Dakota. I see areas there in North Dakota, Fargo there, and then even Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now they had some severe potential back. Yesterday we had some tornado warnings, the tornado watch in play there for that area. You kind of get the idea of things up in that part of the country. I mean, sometimes this will take hold a little bit later on in the severe weather season here of this time of year, but things kind of favor in this area right now. Kind of interesting to see. But as we look toward that extended forecast, you do see again one more reminder that Hurricane Special tomorrow at 7:30. But and we'll be again going over things like the names. We'll be going over some old systems here in a little more detail and preparedness tips, things like that. But you see rain chances here are pretty low, 10-20% for Wednesday and Thursday. I do have them bumping up some for your Friday though, before they bump back down for Saturday and Sunday. And then you see Sunday night a lunar eclipse here. That's to be pretty interesting. And then as we get toward Monday, as long as we have pretty good visibility, I think we will at this point. We'll keep an eye on it. But as we get toward Monday here, you do see 90 degrees and then 92 by Tuesday. It's going to be warm there by next Tuesday, getting hot. I mean, way above average here, really, once we get toward next Tuesday. We'll just have to see how dry it is. Sometimes it could be kind of more of a drier heat, or could have some pop-up storms, though. That'll be a factor. Definitely could be looking at some of the models, especially Monday. It's looking like Monday might have a higher concentration of that at this point than Tuesday, maybe later on Tuesday, even as we get closer toward the time of sunset even. We'll see, though, as we continue to watch us way out there again. We'll be watching things out ahead of that first here on the board. Back to the Doppler radar we go again. You see some severe thunderstorm warnings here in play. Some action there west of San Angelo right now. We're watching some of that activity. You see some around Lubbock. You see action west of Oklahoma City. I know the rest didn't really extend out there. No, we just got a new update in though. You see things don't really extend that far out with this pattern. But again, we'll keep our eyes on things here. Again, that hurricane special is tomorrow about 7:30 here on all the different platforms. So I know you have these coastal impacts from this coastal storm. I know we even been talking about Hurricane Dora back in '64, that last direct hit toward the first coast. That'll be something interesting to hear about here as well. That last direct hurricane hit on the east coast there of northeast Florida. So kind of interesting to see and talk about here with all that weather history, kind of putting it all together. Make sure you tune in. For now, though, have a great night. I see there is a severe thunderstorm warning popping up again toward Michigan. We were seeing some of that accent kind of pulse up there. I was kind of curious if we get a warning. Just got one here from Menominee County in south central upper Michigan until 8:15. So kind of interesting to see that with that tornado watching that yellow going until about 10 o'clock Eastern, which is 9 o'clock Central Time, depending on exactly where you look here in the country. So kind of interesting to watch all that. But for now, again, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.